Hi, this is Ruth Theresa with One Inspiring Woman, and today we're talking about kids with abilities and how to assist them to deal with and learn how to deal with crowded places. So, most people don't really care for crowded places, crowded malls, especially like at the holiday times, going to different festivals and that sort of thing because there's so many people in a very small area usually, and usually what the child is picking up on is everybody else's energy. Someone's really happy, someone's really sad, someone's really upset, someone doesn't want to do this, someone's really tired, someone's really hungry, and you kind of feel all of that kind of like attacking you at times. And when you're a child, you don't always know how to put that into place, but it's one of those, sometimes you don't even know how to deal with it. Sometimes even as adult, we kind of deal with that of like, there's so many people with so many different energies all at the same time. How do I deal with this? So one of the things I would say is this is one of my energy sprays. This is the Serious Business level 3. This works for lots and lots and lots of people. And it's a great way to kind of remove some of that extra energy off. And so one of the best ways to do it is it's just a mist. But it will help. It's got a lot of essential oils in there to kind of help release the energy. So I often tell people it's kind of like one over each shoulder and then over the top of the head, and take a few breaths. And you can do that with your child as well. And teaching them how to do this when they're out in public can be really, really great. One of the things I think is really cool is when you're out in public is to not only do the 3 over the shoulders, but kind of one over kind of like in front of the face a little bit this way. Because a lot of times this is where we're picking it up, the energy from our face all the way down into our heart chakra in this area. And that can be really, really overwhelming. So that can be quite overwhelming for a child, but it can also be overwhelming for the parents as well, because if the child has abilities, so does the parents. So that's a really good one. One of the other ones that's really good, and this is just a hand sanitizer that I make. This one is called Full Moon, and full moons are all about releasing. And so this is a really cool one to put on your hands. Now, it does have a fragrance to it. So I do, a couple of good sprays on there and then wipe your hands together. But you also want to go up your arms just a little bit. And then once you get it all rubbed in, take that time. Let the child smell it. Let the child kind of breathe it in a little bit. Now, sometimes what I'll do is I'll just put it on one finger and kind of put it here, or kind of almost as a perfume, kind of, because that's going to keep it going up in your sinus cavities and kind of keep opening that energy over and over and over again. This can be something that they can carry in their pocket, or something that they can have around them or with them. So that kind of helps just kind of keeping that energy releasing. And then sometimes also knowing, one of the great things is to take a step back. If there's a place where you can sit down, where there's not as many people, do that. Allow them to kind of like, how are you feeling? How are you, what I'm saying? How are you going through this? Because that child is picking up every feeling, every energy from everybody around them. And sometimes it takes a little bit of time to kind of like, let's take a step back, or let's take a break for a few minutes and get that energy out. Now, my next one is called a super grounder. And this is a hand scrub. This is a little bit difficult to kind of carry with you, but I do have some clients that will put it into like little bitty baggies or lunch baggies so they can have it with them when they're out and about. It does have a great smell and great energy with it. And this is something that you can just take a little handful of, or a little scoop out, and scrub your hands. And then you're going to do just like the hand sanitizer. You're going to rub it between your fingers. I like to do my cuticles as well. And I will go all the way up my arm a little bit, just so I'm removing that energy. That can be very helpful. Now, one of my clients, Her son always wants her to do it on her feet. And she was like, it's a hand sanitizer, right? Hand scrub. Why would I put it on her feet? And as we've talked about it, she started doing that and just taking like a handful or two when they're out and about. She, for a living, works in festivals, so she's always around a lot of people. But doing this a couple of times a day for him, taking a little scoop, taking off his shoes, kind of like rubbing it between his toes, up and down his feet, along the bottom, and letting it sit for a moment, and then like rinsing it off, has changed his world completely. He feels so much easier, so much more grounded, and the energies from everybody else don't seem to bother him near as much. They will get overwhelming at times, but because he has some tools or some ideas of like what I can do or how I can do something, makes it a little bit easier. Anything that you can do to kind of help with that energy really is great. One of the ones I love to do is sometimes I'll just find a chunk of salt, maybe out of one of my salt lamps or something like that, but just taking that with me and rubbing that in my hands from time to time can help release the energy that I've picked up from other people. And that can really support me through kind of like releasing the energy, feeling overwhelmed, and making me feel like I can keep going. Sometimes I get to the point where I'm like, I'm out of here, I've got to leave. So let's pull a couple of angel cards and hopefully get us a little bit a little bit deeper insight into kids with abilities and working through crowded places. Let's see. The first one that's coming forward is emerging. Their energy is still emerging and it's kind of still growing in a lot of ways. And so that's really cool to have their kind of like their bag to go with them, kind of what's going to help them work through this as their energy is always growing. What would they picking up everybody else's stuff, and now you're giving them that tool bag of like, let's try this first, let's try this second, let's try this third, let's try this fourth. This gives us a way to kind of support them and teach them, and so they can learn how to support their own energy when they get older. That's the cool part about this. Let's see, I've got a couple of them popping up. Divine timing. So with this card, I get that this is a really important card at this time. And it's important because whatever you're listening to this video, the reason is you either can't deal with crowded places yourself, or you have a little one that can't deal with crowded places. So learn the lessons now. Learn how to remove the energy. Learn how to kind of give yourself a break, giving that child a break, kind of work through things, and teaching them now at whatever age they are how to work through this energy. It really, really helps, and it really can make life much easier for them. Let's pull one more card and get us a little bit deeper insight. This is the first one that came up. So spiritual growth. Like I said, their abilities are always growing, and spiritually their energy constantly is around, and it can kind of be pulled off in different directions with everybody else's different energy. So when we're thinking about that, we want to keep this child's energy and as clean and protected as possible. And there are other things that we can try before we go to the event, after we go to the event, to kind of clear out some of that energy. But it's most important that you understand you're teaching them how to deal with their own abilities. And that's the best part of how to do this, how to work through it, how to empower them to continue to work through this and not be overwhelmed and not be afraid of being out in public places or going to public events, because it can be overwhelming. But if you have the right tools, it makes everything better. I thank you so much for joining me today, and I know that we'll be talking again soon.